Okay, animators, welcome to our first mini project. This is going to be similar to the time and space exercise we just finished up. You have this Google Doc in your Google Classroom, has very specific directions. Just want to go through a couple things with you. The first mini project is 50 frames. The dimensions are 640 by 480. Those are pixels. It's kind of an example. It's just a bouncing ball. We're going to have a couple layers here. We need a ground layer, we need a ball layer, and then we're going to have a guide layer, right? And then the second project is 45 frames. It's 800 by 400. I want you making sure you kind of pay attention to that, and you can practice adjusting the size of your stage. And this one deals with a little bit of anticipation. Ball's kind of getting ready to jump up over this. So we have the ground, some type of wall, box, whatever you want to call it, and then the ball's going to jump over it. Okay, two very simple animations that we're going to do. So let's show you how to do these. Go to Adobe Animate, hit Create New. This is going to open up, again, character animation, 640 by 480, which is what I want for this one. So if I wanted to make it custom, I could just adjust the numbers in the width and height boxes. But for this one, 640 by 480, and I want to make sure it's at 24 frames per second. So if that's not 24, you can adjust it and click Create. So think about it for a second. Pop this open. Now the stage is a little far away, so I can just simply go over here to View, Magnification, and Fit in Window. And it'll pop it up there for me. So we're going to have a couple layers in this one. First layer, I'm just going to type in the ground. Just need a ground layer. I'm just going to go to my rectangle tool. No, I'm going to choose a brown. And I'm going to draw in a ground layer. Now, why am I going over the stage? The reason I do that is I want to make sure that nothing, I'm not going to have some weird white gap. So the stage is what when the exported animation you're going to see, but I could put stuff off and on the stage and bring it in and animate it across the stage if I want. So that's the ground layer. I also do not need a stroke in this. So I can just select my stroke and hit delete. I can do that on all these, even though they can't see it. It just makes me feel better. Okay, I'm going to add a layer. Above that, we're going to call this layer Guide. And I am going to click my brush tool. I just want the fill to be black, so I choose this, and then I could swap the fill and the stroke. Stroke is a line outside the fill. A brush is going to contain both a stroke and a stroke, so I want to make sure my stroke is white in this case. I could also double click in here and I could just turn the stroke to alpha 100%, which means there is no stroke. That's probably the easiest thing to do. Okay, so for my guide layer, I am just going to kind of draw out the path of the ball. Go to my brush tool. The ball's going to come in over here. It's going to fall pretty close. It's going to bounce high, bounce low, and bounce. You can make this look any way you want. It's just a guide. And now I want to draw in some hash marks, which will be my keyframes, where I want the ball to be. I need about 25 of these because it's a 50 frame animation. So I know how long this animation is going to be ahead of time. You don't always know that. But for this case, let's do this. So we're going to have the ball. Ball will start here. We'll start it here. It's going to slow down, then it's going to really speed up. I'll have it hit, and then bounce back up. So probably basically this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to slow down. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, hit the ground. 14, 15, 16, Yeah, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm probably going to add one more here to slow this down. Okay. Again, it's just a guide. So this is a guide layer. It's important to do these guide layers. It gives me a chance as an animator to kind of plan my timing spacing ahead of time. Now to turn this into a guide layer, once I have it kind of drawn out, I just, on my layers panel over here, I'm just going to right click and I'm going to choose guide. And all that does is it's going to hide it in my final animation. So I don't have to worry about hiding it layer or any of that. And as soon as it's a guide layer, when I spit it out as my final animation, I'm not going to be able to see it. It's very, very handy. So now I'm simply going to hit plus to put in my ball layer. This is what I'm going to animate the ball on. And now I got 3 layers, 3 keyframes on frame 1. Now I know this is going to be a 50 frame animation. So I could zoom out my timeline to about 50. I'm just going to click and drag to select all 3 layers. The 50th frame on all 3 layers. I'm going to go over here. This is my keyframe button. So I don't want to put a keyframe on here. So I'm just going to click and hold. Brings up the other options. I'm going to click frame. And that is going to hold the art on for the entire 50 frames. I can now lock both those layers because I'm only going to be animating on this ball layer. And now I'm going to right click inside on the timeline, this layer, anywhere in here, right click. Go up here to convert to frame by frame animation. Keyframe every other frame. We're going to be animating on 2s. And now that has spit out keyframes for me to animate on. All right. Now I'm going to get to animating. It's the fun part. Click B for brush. Choose what color I want the ball to be. It's making a nice vibrant green. I'm just on my first frame of animation. This get rid of. I see what I did. I had some artwork on this brush, and now it made all of these. This little bit of art is going to be on every single keyframe. So easy to fix this. I could click and to highlight all of these. I'm going to right click and I'm going to clear the keyframe. And I can go back to my first thing here. Convert to frame by frame animation, every other frame. All right, so those little mistakes are easy to fix. I want this to be with blank keyframes. It's a blank keyframe if it's an open circle. It's no art on it. Okay, go to my B for brush, go up to my guide, and I'm gonna draw in this ball. Right here at the top of its arc. Okay, so now we're just gonna be animating straight ahead. Go to my third keyframe. I can't see the ball. I'm gonna turn on my onion skin because it really helps keep the ball about the same size. I'm gonna start stretching it a little bit. Go to my next keyframe. And now way down here on the guide, because this ball is falling quickly, it's gonna be very elongated. I'm gonna be here. This is right before, so a lot of times with these things, it's gonna be contacting. When you're contacting, you just want the bare edge to be on the ground. Now this is going to be splat, very flat. And next keyframe, it's going to be rebounding very quickly. So this is going to happen pretty fast. Animation, I'm going to go up here. So kind of shooting up here. Now this will be slowing down. Back to a circle shape. So just choosing my keyframes. The closer the frames are together, the slower the ball is going to be traveling. Farther apart, they are, the quicker the balls will travel. This is going to elongate back out a little bit, probably not so much, simply because it's not falling from as big of a height, but I'm a big fan of squash and stretch. Let's smash this thing out a little bit. It's going to rebound, stretch back up this way. And we'll test this here in a second to see how we're doing, but you can go pretty quickly and get a pretty nice effect here. So let's do 2 more keyframes. And as I fill artwork onto the keyframe, I hope you're noticing that the keyframe fills up. So that circle, the open circle, fills up because there's art on it. So now I got this balls bouncing around. Now it's a little, the onion skin's on, so it looks like there's 3 balls bouncing. I can just turn the onion skin off. I can go to my loop tool, which is right here. Drag this out to show the keyframes I want to show. It's not a bad effect. Get a nice squash and stretch, kind of a nice whoop, bounce. And you can see you're like, hey, wait, the guide is still there. It's because we're looping. If I click this plus, this will give me a preview of what the finished animation is going to look like, and you can see the guide's gone. It's not a bad little effect right there, to be honest with you. Pretty happy with that. So you're going to finish this out by just going back to your brush, turning onion skin back on. So this would be my next keyframe, and I just finish those out. When I'm all done, I'm happy with it. I'm going to go to this little export, quick share, publish, animated GIF, and hit publish, and turn it into Classroom. All right, that's the first one you need to do, and then the next one, similar setup. I would just on my ground layer have some type of box that my ball is going to jump over.